You might think that there is no hell. Certainly there are other religions that dominate Africa today, that dominates us as black people, that promotes death and puts death at a pedestal where one is promised good things after death. You might also be tempted to think that the current scenario of entertainment, where blood, where destruction, where human life is held at the lowest cost possible, is the norm. It is not the norm. Human life is very precious. Black life, as we look at it, must be viewed and be cherished, because once we lose it, that's it. There is hell, there is judgment which awaits us beyond the grave. Welcome to Kemetic Hebrew Ethics, where we want to look at life and death vis-a-vis what we have and taught in the Torah, in the Talmud, the Bible, the New Testament, and the Quran. Because all these books copied and plagiarized some ancient books found in Egypt. And these books are often written from the reworking and expansion of the spells that are found in the pyramid texts in ancient Egypt. Despite the fact that they are always referred to as the coffin texts, they were inscribed over 200 coffins. They were inscribed on many other objects from various sites, and the sources for these books include papyri, masks, chests, biers, statues, and stela. At any time in ancient Egypt, even in the Old and New Kingdoms, almost 3,000 years BC, there were over 250 manuscripts, over 1,185 spells. Africans know spells. Spells are the words that we speak to the dead when we bury the dead. Those are called spells. Those are powerful words. We'll go into this in detail. So these spells consider issues of the dead, their period just after they are dying or they are dead, right through judgment, and possibly after a year when they have passed on and perished. So the question would be, where would these people be? Is death the end of it? Or death is the beginning of something? What do we understand by it? Christians, they tell us we go to heaven, where we will sing and spend time singing. But they have no precedent. They have no historical reference. Their reference is actually a misunderstanding from the Book of the Dead, where it is thoroughly explained step by step the process which the dead go through until they are purified and now can ascend or descend where they fit, according to the life that they lived, according to their obedience and sinlessness they had lived in life, and according to the knowledge they have acquired in their life. So first, we have got one book that is very critical, which is called the Book of the Two Ways, or Book of the Ways of the Ratio, which dates from at least early Middle Kingdom and probably even earlier. This book derives this title from inscriptions discovered in Middle Egypt on 22 non-royal coffins, probably prepared for a high official or his wives or his kids. But these distinctions give us a little bit of understanding, because this describes the 7 demons who are the gatekeepers of the nether world, the one who stretches out the pro rope, the one who cuts them down, the one who eats the people from the back, the one who opposes them in their face, the one who makes noise, the upside faced one, and their names and their brief descriptions are given, so that before you die, you must understand about these demons. You must understand about these powers or these force fields, negative force fields that you encounter the instant you die. These 7 ones, you must understand them because they guard the gates. And most of the things that we see in life, most of the negative energies, where many of the cattle are slaughtered, because they sense that energy, they understand. So this comes and is understood. So you must understand and read. You have read the book of the 2 ways, either of success or either of failure, either of positive or negative or force fields. So next we've got the book of Amduat, which is the book of the hidden rooms. And in this book there are 2 registers, and they address the fate of the damned one in the region of the dead. So you have not passed the gate, or you have gone through to the negative force field. And now the book of the Amduat is where now it explains the damned that are being separated from the rest of the dead and barred from continuing their journey along the holy river of the Duat or Tuat. In Register 5, for example, we have got the god Ra exalting the gods, and these gods are force fields. They are not, as we are told, they are force fields. They exhort these gods in the underworld to do their duty and actually encourage them to annihilate the dead after they are dead. And now, we look at the book of Gates again. This book is probably the most important source for our current knowledge about the fate of the damned one or the dead. Because in Register 2 and 8 and 9, the dead are denounced, and the creatures of the realms in the realms of the dead perform certain horrors and torments on these people. And also, this is where the opportunity and the hope of resurrection from the Amduat lies. Once you deal with that, and once you are successful in that, you will be resurrected. But the resurrection spoken of here is also dual. There is a proper understanding when you read the book of the dead of the physical resurrection that has been borrowed by Christians, or the resurrection that our African ancestors and our current African traditions perform on the dead. After a year, they perform a ritual to assist their dead, to cleanse their dead, to ritualize them and empower them so that they can go forward and they can go forth. Now we look at the book of the dead, but actually known as the book of coming forth by day, which was written 2000 years BC. Some of it manuscripts are dated to those dates. So the book, it is like the book of the 2 ways. However, the book of coming forth by day gives a more vivid and cryptically conjures up the demons who might be encountered in the netherworld. So more challenges come. And this book is based on the priest teacher Ani, who was a scribe. And it consists of about 192 spells. We could call them chapters now. And these 192 spells should be used to overcome and avoid evil in the netherworld after you are dead. So since even mentioning hell might bring misfortune down on the deceased, there are no specific references about this in this book. Because the spells in this book are supposed to assist you with the words which are force fields, which you can use, which you should understand, which should be banked in your memory when you are alive, which you should have studied and understood when you are still alive on earth. If you consider spell 125, it presents what are called as which they use in addressing all the creatures that they found in the netherworld, in the Duat. and possibly block those that can possibly inflict punishment on them. Just in its manner of addressing these creatures, the spell also reveals their evil natures and powers and how you can answer their questions. Then we have got the book of the earth, currently dated between 1200 and 1100 before BCE. The pieces that form this work describe a place of darkness, a place of a very deep dark shadow and a flame. And it is here in this book of the earth where the condemned, already dead actually, are slaughtered and annihilated, and they are destroyed by being cast into pits of fire, and they are extinguished. As the book of Obadiah in the Bible says, they will be as though they have never been. So they will be obliterated. This is what it teaches. After death, your works will cause you to choose these ways after death. And lastly, we've got the book of caverns, which has 6 registers. They also describe the place of annihilation where the condemned encounter their non-existence. I'm going to repeat this because it is quite critical. We need to think here and to be very deep spiritual here. The book of caverns describe in 6 registers describes the dark place of annihilation where the condemned encounter their non-existence. It is here where they are depicted as entities that have been extinguished, never again to have an opportunity to ascend or descend. So when you consider your life today and you think about the way you are living and you think about how you are treating your life, specifically when you think about death and what you have heard about death and knowledge about death, I'm sure it is critical and very indeed to think about what I have just presented today. These 4 critical books, out of which resources were used, and ideas and philosophies and thoughts were used to build the books that billions of people today read and stop. So when you read the Torah, when you read the Quran, when you read the New Testament and the Old Testament, consider your faith and your knowledge. Thank you very much.